Actually, I find this example quite interesting because it's been interpreted in so many different ways. Now I sit on an editorial board, and so I'm very cautious about the terminology that we use as reviewers because it's about gatekeeping, and you have to dismantle that. And when I relay that incident of I've had that incident where people have very early on said, and it was literally nitpicking every term that I've used, like, oh, are you sure it's parental engagement and not parental this? Or what do you mean white spaces? Is it a country you're referring to? Or is this a country? What do you mean by page PG? Is it PG like tea bags? They've actually said this. So the tone has taken a complete different. I mean, I had one paper where I had like about 300 remarks like that. And it just put me literally out of, I was like, I'm not going to look at this paper. I don't even want to do academia anymore. I'm out of here. And I didn't even look at it for the next 8 months. And then when I came back, I remember you encouraging me to share it with, a community of women of color academics. And the comments that I got at that point in time, it was just so unexpected. They were professors, tenured professors saying, yeah, we get this too. And I was like, what? So, I mean, is that what, like, how does epistemic community form in those instances? And what's the way forward?
Excellent. Yeah. So you just outed yourself. You know that, right?
That's fine. I'm happy to share my experiences.
Okay. So in one of my works, one of the papers that's on this is the case study is actually based on Sana's experience. so the case one about the reviewer is actually based on her experience, and I didn't want to use the terms here because I was afraid that you're going to jump in, but then you jumped in, so that's fine. That's good. That's your prerogative. I'm glad you're sharing that. And yes, when you came to me and I said to you, no, Sana, like this is not to do with the quality of your paper. I've read your paper. Your paper looks great. Your paper is doing fine. I mean, might need some restructuring or something, but I don't know. I don't think so from my discipline's perspective. But and then I said, why don't you post it in the group of women of color? And everybody was super supportive, and they said, like, you have a bunch of people who are not very familiar with critical race theory within education. Basically, they're working from like a very wide framework in education, and this is not cool. Like, don't doubt yourself, right? And then you took it back. To you brought it up in some departmental meeting, or some, like, a not departmental meeting, but like in like a collegial meeting, and they all begin to second guess you, and they all begin to say things like, perhaps the reviewer meant this, and are you sure you didn't misread what the reviewer actually said, and so on and so forth. And if you hadn't brought it to like such a vast community of women of color before that, you would have said, I think the reviewer is onto something, and I need to fix my paper better. I need to get a native speaker, and so on and so forth, even though you have been studying in English language from, kindergarten. Like, I mean, people don't get this idea, but like other countries are bilingual, right? So you are studying in English from whenever you join school. And so that actually, yeah, I mean, my daughter, she was like, oh, I want to go to Pakistan so I can improve my Urdu. And then she says, well, the bad part is everybody in Pakistan speaks to me in English, so it doesn't really work. I was like, yeah. So I mean, other countries are bilingual. People are like, oh, you're not a native speaker. No, I'm just maybe not speaking American English per se, or British English per se, but I am an English speaker. And so I think the fact that you were able to bring this to other women of color, form that shared epistemic resource that I was talking about, form that epistemic resource that you needed to feel epistemic certainty that your project was a good one. Because the harms of not believing that your project is the harms of believing that your project is not worthy enough is that, first of all, we don't get people from our community commenting within our discipline about our own selves. We get other professors who are talking about us, down to us, right? Instead of us theorizing our own lives, right? And our own experiences. So all of a sudden, academia loses out because we're getting claims that are only based in a small subset of the population, a subset that doesn't even have access to the lived experiences of the people that they're talking about, right?
Right.
Because they're not occupying those social locations. But also, there's the harm to the person who was just microaggressed, namely that they don't feel intellectual enough, they feel like quitting academia, they feel down on themselves, they hold on to their paper for 2 3 years, sitting on it forever, not revising it, not submitting it, hence
Okay.
their productivity, suffers. And now you're not, you don't get reviewed properly, like you don't get reviewed favorably when your annual review comes up, and now your tenure is up for question, and are you still on probation? I mean, there's just so many ramifications out of small microaggressive acts that keep happening, and you're like, really? Did one paper do that to you? Is that why you didn't get tenure? Did one paper like get you like, are you serious? Is that what you? It's not one paper. That's the problem. You keep encountering these acts over and over and over again, and they keep chipping away at the knowledge claims that you make about your own intellectual acumen.
Right.